I just so happened to be there on a night that you were performing, and good grief, I can't forget it.
And it was like a boy group concert, wasn't it?
It really was.
It was zany. Kristalina has no experience in wild boy group fangirl stuff, but
you should ask Justin Timberlake that. But
I remember her. She was wild. Mother of 3. Unbelievably crazy.
I was messaging Kelly this morning. I'm like, Kelly, let's be honest. You should be the one interviewing Quinn. And she's like, you'll do fine. Quinn's gonna talk all he wants about whatever. And anyways, but I got a few questions from Kelly. So
we'll see if I can answer them.
I did. But Quinn, what I want to start out with is Hale Centre Theatre. We know is family owned, family run. What are we in now? The 6th generation of performers.
So it's there are members of the family. There are 3 of us. My parents were co-founders that helped to operate the theater. A lot of people view it as a family ownership, but it's a nonprofit 501c3. Mountain America is some 501c something.
Yeah.
Pardon me, nonprofit organization. So it's a community asset, and it has been built because of people in the community. Mountain America is one of the leaders in that, and that's why we have their name on the building. And it's so much really about Mountain America investing in something they believe in. So I just bring that up. It's a little bit of a sensitivity. It's not family owned, but there are 3 of us. There are now 70 full timers. There's 180 what's called full time equivalent employees there. Yeah, there you go.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very awesome. But
more podcast details than people want to ever hear about.
But still good information to have. Yeah. So, but speaking of keeping it in the family, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't your daughter like the 6th generation of?
So great question.
Yeah.
What we found out about 5 years ago, we had always had this story, and we have the story of my great grandparents who started doing theater around the Salt Lake Valley all over the place. My great grandpa worked in, I think it was called Utah Copper back at the time. They've gone through a couple different names. It's Rio Tinto today.
Okay, yeah.
And they started this little theater troupe because they loved storytelling. They bounced around. It ended up taking them to Los Angeles. They started a theater there. It went well for years and years. They came back here, started a theater with my parents at that time in South Salt Lake, and now we're in Sandy City today. But my great grandma was adopted. And we never knew, for I don't know why, we could not figure out who her parents were, who her mom was. And Ancestry down the street, they decided to look into that about 5 years ago. They were able to find out. So her mom actually was up in mining country in Montana, had Ruth Hale, my great grandmother, when she was, I believe, 16 years old. And at that time, the 16-year-old's not keeping the baby around.
Right.
So Ruth is then adopted, and her mother goes back to New York and dances on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So we never knew that she was also in the blood. So that would be my great-great-grandma who had this thing in her blood. And then, yeah, I have, my kids are also part of the family farm. That's the gig. Some people get up and make sure that the pipes are moved and that kind of a thing. But for us, it's if we need a role on the stage that needs to be covered, and that's where mom and dad are. That's where you're gonna end up here and there. So it's fun. We try not to force them, but somehow I think both my kids are far more talented on the art spectrum than I am, which is fun to watch.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and cool that it literally is in your blood.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I actually don't think that's too uncommon either. You look at families that have doctors after doctors after doctors. Your family, for example, podcasters after podcasters after podcasters.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my great-great-grandpa, you guys.
But I do think there is something that somehow lives in the DNA, and you can adopt it, and you can learn different things. But I think for us, there's some element of it being in the blood.
Yeah. That's way cool. So talk to me a little bit about the theater. Obviously, Sandy's a still fairly new location. Yeah. And it seems like you guys are selling out every show. I mean, to my knowledge, Treasure Island, we had you guys had to add additional matinees to get all the people in that wanted to see it. How does that make you feel?
We had a lot of tired pirates out there trying to make it happen. It's so when we came off of the pandemic, right coming out of that, we were able to open up Les Mis, and so I was in that show along with a lot of really, really talented people. And taking the bow at the end of the day was so much closer to any boy group concert that I've ever been to. What was the last one I went to? It was at the Vivint Center. I can't remember. Bunch of screaming and yelling. The only difference was it was this broad demographic of all these people from across the state, different age groups, and it was people yelling their truly, I mean, one, the show was beautiful. It was well told. But people needed that in their soul again. Mm-hmm. And they needed it shoulder to shoulder with people next to them, where your hearts beat at the same time as the story is told that one time in front of you. And just the connectivity and the healing and this kind of a thing, it became again more evident as to why the live arts are so important to people and these types of stories. And so with Treasure Island, the story of a bunch of pirates out there, we added several matinees. It was so much fun. You'd see a bunch of kids come dressed like parents. We were doing fake tattoos all over the place. And fake pirate tattoos, only family appropriate treasure boxes and skull and crossbones, things like that wash off after 3 days.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I love all tattoos. And so anyway, it was just it's continued. Like people want this, and we are in a place where, again, with the support of the community, we're able to give people something that is valuable to them right now.
I love that. And I want to go back just a hair to Les Mis, because, correct me if I'm wrong, that was like the only Les Mis show showing after years and years of it always playing. Tell me about that. Yeah,
it had played, for over 20, I want to say 25-ish years straight. Somewhere in the world that show had always been playing, and of course, the thing that brought it down was that pandemic. And so Macintosh is the owner of that piece, and I think he lives in London, but he works closely with the publishing company, and it has ownership in the publishing company that holds it in New York. And Utah was in a position where for better or for worse, they wanted to try and open things up faster than other performing arts venues were ready to open up at the time. And they felt also mission driven that this is a piece that they wanted presented. It was supposed to be playing in London at the same time. London was open and close as all that was going on. And so they felt like it was important for someone to continue telling the story. And so we were the only company in the entire world that was presenting Les Mis at that moment. And for all those other reasons, it was something that I really hope that I don't forget. I hope that I can. It's so easy to push all these fantastic things in our life back into the recesses of our brain, and you lose that appreciation for things. And I hope, especially as times are difficult at the theater and other when I get tired and that kind of thing, that I can go back to that well and kind of draw on again why it is that we do what we do.
I love that. Well, and hopefully all the people that attended can do the same, right? Because I just so happened to be there on a night that you were performing, and good grief, I can't forget it, right? I mean, I feel like everyone has that tie into that story of Les Mis, because we all need that redemption in our life, right? We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And so I love that. I completely agree that live thing to hold on to is important for all of us.
And it was like a boy group concert, wasn't it?
It really was.
It was zany. Kristalina has no experience in wild boy group fangirl stuff, but that's just an aside. You
should ask Justin Timberlake that, but he would disagree.
I remember her. She was wild. Mother of 3. Unbelievably crazy.
Oh my goodness, I love it. So I would imagine you have like a lot of different talents that you need to fill these shows. I mean, so another one coming up is Singing in the Rain, right? Which I may or may not have grew up on that musical, right? Absolutely love it. I mean, let's get a little more Gene Kelly in all of our lives. But is there going to be a lot more dancing in that one particular, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so that one, obviously the lead has to do a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
And we have a really, really talented couple of people that'll be in for that role. Every show calls for different things. So the next show that we have coming up is School of Rock. And School of Rock is super fun. It's this broad adaptation that Andrew Lloyd Webber, the same guy that did Phantom of the Opera and Cats and other silly feline types of shows. It has to be played all live on the stage. That's what the contract calls for. And half the show is little kids. If you remember the old Jack Black movie,
yes,
it's that movie, and then they fill in all these funny stick it to the man type of moments from the movie and build music out of that, and it works really well. But the whole thing has to be told live, and so the kids are all playing live instruments, and all the rock band that supports the entire show is all there, and so that show, and then someone has to carry on like kind of the spirit of Jack Black in terms of that lead Dewey character, but not try and be Jack Black because nobody is.
Right.
And so that show calls for all those really specific talents. Singing in the Rain, obviously. We need more dancers, and dancers are man, they're to get really, really wonderful dancers. We need more more dancers. We're always looking for really, really good dancers, and so but it's fun to see that beautiful movement for me tied to story so intentionally. I love modern dance, but I have a harder time understanding some of the story sometimes, and it's because of my Neanderthal brain that needs someone telling me exactly what's going on. And Singing in the Rain does that. It tells you this is why this person feels like dancing in the rain, and then it becomes more clear to me. Type of deal.
Yeah, that makes sense. So speaking of your lineup for the rest of the year, what shows are you most excited about?
The show that I'm most excited about is a show that nobody knows called Lucky Stiff. It was written by the same people who wrote Ragtime, which is a show that more people know.
Yeah.
But Lucky Stiff is, you just talked about your dog for a second.
Yeah.
It was offline, folks, and so if you missed the dog story, don't feel like you've been asleep at the wheel. It was just something that our bearded wonder engineer over here did not include in the story. So Lucky Stiff is. It's very quirky. It's a small cast. It somehow resonates. I'm a big gruff. My BMI is higher than it's supposed to be. Guy, but I still like kind of a quirky little love story. Have you ever seen Lucky Stiff?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, there was a movie Better Off Dead, is what the show plays off of. But this guy has to take a deceased relative around to do all these things in death that he never did in life. And if he does it, he gets this money. And at the same time, if he doesn't do these things, then this gal gets all this money that supports a dog shelter that she's doing. And somehow then there's a love connection that happens there in this very quirky, strange situation. And the music is great. And, it's the kind of music that when I heard it before I was married, it expressed the thoughts that I would have wanted when I had that relationship in my life come around. And so it's still meaningful to me that way.
That's very cool.
It's funny and it's quirky and weird characters. And just a really great story.
Love it. Okay, so Lucky Stiff. Tell me a little bit about the Unsinkable Molly Brown.
I don't know as much as I should know about it, other than this lady was amazing. If you, this is like a real life person.
Yeah.
She it's a rags to riches story. She does all these incredible things and ends up in Europe, with the royalty over there, and also ends up on the Titanic, and that's the unsinkable part of it. And she's one who, of course, survives it because she is unsinkable. Something that is unique about what we're able to tell with the story is that it's gone under the show. The show has been around for a long time, and there are so many elements of the show that people absolutely love, and there are other elements of the show that put people to sleep. And New York and the people that own the rights of that have recognized that, and they have done some significant rewrites on this piece.
Oh, okay.
And so we're the first people presenting this new full rewrite of both the first and the second half that has all the tunes that people love, and cleans up really the second half in a way that's more compelling for people. I have not read it, nor have I seen it. We more of our artistic team is digging into that, but it's an honor that we have the opportunity to present that as really a world premiere for all the rewrites and everything that have been done. And there will be a lot of people that will be in from New York to watch it and see how we work with it, and as they look to mount it in future productions. So that'll be really cool.
That's awesome. What a cool opportunity. Is there going to be water involved?
So, water is a nightmare. There will be raining, in Singing in the Rain. We just had 330,000 pounds of water on the stage with Treasure Island.
Yes.
And gratefully we had zero leak, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so water, the biggest, there's so many elements and challenges to working with water, but it has all but killed our team in terms of, making sure that it's clean, recycled, blah, 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 everything else. The other thing, and people love water because it's a spectacle. But it's also limiting in other elements of the story, where even though Molly Brown, it's unsinkable, the pictures are all in water and whatnot, most of the story happens on just land. And so I don't think there's a lot of water in it.
Okay.
There will be the impression of water, and some of you may sweat and glisten, but there's no serious water elements in the design of the show.
So was Treasure Island, was that your first time really getting the stage wet, so to speak, that significantly? Yeah,
in Sandy, that was, and it was a lot of water, and so you've got to filter the thing, you've got to keep it about 90 degrees because the actors are in and out of it as they die as their pirate characters. You got to have several of the same costumes and the same wigs so that they can come back 5 minutes later and real time elapse. It's been like 3 or 4 days, but really it's only been 5 minutes. And then you have to change all the lighting underneath the water frequently because it gets knocked around. And we had technicians that became pool boys that would just spend all sorts of times cleaning up the water. And so it's all the way from like your bathtub when you're 2 years old to when you're 92 years old, I'm guessing. Somehow water well lit with pirates or any story, water captures your imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of water, there's another show coming towards the end of the year, The Little Mermaid, right?
Correct.
Which, let's be honest, it's going to sell out if it's not already.
I'll tell you, we feel very, very fortunate. People want to come to the theater. Yeah. And yes, Mermaid is selling early and heavy. And you can go to hct.org. Yeah. And you can see how the shows are selling. But if you want to get together with your family and see either A Christmas Carol or Little Mermaid at the end of the year, it's not a bad idea to think about it in July, which is crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, Mermaid. That was another thing. So when I saw Beatles Love this last weekend, they had this super cool sequence where they pull, if you remember in second grade when they brought the big parachute and you all ran out and you pulled it out over your heads and that kind of a thing. Love does that in a boat sequence where there's this beautiful little white boat out in the middle of this stage that's like twice as large as our stage, but it feels really kind of similar the way that arena theater is set up. But they pulled this big, beautiful white silky parachute out over the audience, and it was fluttering up and down, and all the lights were perfect. And then you hear this Beatles music in the background. And I don't know that we're going to do anything like that type of design necessarily for our production, but it did get me excited for the creativity, because I know some of the tricks that they kind of have up their sleeve, and in places across the globe they're referencing and pulling in from, so that we can create this gigantic fishbowl that tells a story about a girl who wants to walk in thingamabobbers and a perfect prince with flowy, beautiful hair and all that kind of thing.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, I grew up on The Little Mermaid, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for those of us in our almost 40s, that's...
Yep. And past 40s. And the, like Ursula and her big crazy eyes and super purple lips and her evil eels. It doesn't take much to entertain us. It's fun. Yeah.
It really doesn't. And so let's say, some people out there listening in or watching might be on the fence as to, hey, should I just get a season ticket at Hale? Because I want to see Singing in the Rain. I want to see Unsinkable Molly Brown. Of course, Little Mermaid. Of course, Christmas Carol. Like, there's so many that we can't miss, right? But for those that are maybe on the fence, what does purchasing a season ticket at Hale Centre Theatre do for the community, speaking of that? So
the first thing I'll say is that if you use your Mountain America card, because of our partnership that we have with that team, that you get like a 10% discount anyway. The season ticket discount is a little broader than that. And so if you haven't been to the theater, talk to somebody that you know that has been. We want the theater to be an everyman's theater. I want somebody that loves professional sports to also come and have a great experience. It's never going to be that challenging artistically that it kind of goes over anybody's head.
Yeah.
But find something that speaks to you and your date and just test it out. As far as the season tickets are concerned, we've got over 31,000 season ticket holders. So there are a lot of people that do want this date night scheduled. They want it there so that it's kind of out of mind, out of sight. It pops up on the calendar and you go. We've had so many people who call and make reservations and then ask us afterwards what show are they seeing. And it's because the brand is strong enough that they know they're going to see something that's going to be really well done.
Yeah.
And so it's a great Christmas present, obviously, Mother's Day, whatever the case may be. I'm one that always wants people to feel super, super good about what they do. And that's why I almost say just take your Mountain America discount, use it on a show that seems interesting. If it's something that you guys love, then come more than once a year and you can save a good deal of cash running it through the season ticket.
Love it. Let's talk a little bit more about that partnership with Mountain America. Mm-hmm. Not to, toot our own horn by any means or anything like that, but what has that relationship with Mountain America? Because we know it's Hale Centre Theatre at the Mountain America Performing Arts Center. What does that even mean? And what does that allow you to do?
We ended up in a situation that we needed to grow. The board of trustees was looking at the future of the theater, trying to protect what had been built to that point, and sometimes, not all the time, but you gotta grow or you die as a business, and we were at a place where we needed to grow, and things. Raising money to do a big operation like that is really, really challenging, and you have to lean on businesses and people in the community that also believe in the things that you're doing to have a greater impact on our quality of life. I look at the theater kind of like a front porch for our community. We have some front porches. We have the skiing areas. I love Lagoon. I like carnivals a lot. I like talking to people that fry my scones and things like that and those things. But there are these things that make our lives fun and rewarding along the way. And so the theater is really important. It's something that we as a community, I hope we can take pride in when we have family and whatnot coming to town and friends coming to town, and we need to build memories with the people who are most meaningful to us. And so where Mountain America came in was at a moment where we needed significant financial contribution to continue and to build and continue doing what we were doing. And the leadership in this organization is they're uncanny in the sense that they feel like your neighbors. They feel like next door folks. There's no embodiment of the stereotype of a lot of financial people that someone may think of. And as so, bringing us into their offices and just having casual conversations about something clearly that they had believed in. I know they had taken a lot of the executive team to the theater when we were elsewhere for years, just quietly, and such that they believed in what was going on. And you can't if you go to your financial advisor at Mountain America and they tell you to start a theater, you should think about 7 times before you do that, because it's a terrible business investment. But if you have the support of folks like the people at Mountain America, then you can do things. And so it's been and the support has gone beyond just the financial contribution. It's 1,000 small silent things that this place does. Because I really do believe that the people here want to improve the quality of life for our community. It's part of this front porch idea, and as Mountain America has, they share the message in different branches. They tell their friends about it. They bring people to the theater. All of these things help bring awareness to the theater, and then I hope that it improves lives along the way. Yeah.
And I think that's really the important thing in that partnership, right? Is that really that's the mission and vision of both of our organizations is to enrich the lives of those in our communities. And
what's the byline? What's the mission statement for Mountain America?
So our vision is to help our members achieve their financial dreams, right? Help them define and achieve their financial dreams. And I think a big part of that, right, is the theater can seem like it's something that, only the really, wealthy people get to go to. When in reality, no, you can use your Mountain America card, get that 10% discount, go, right? Matinees are always a little bit less expensive. So even if you got to go on Saturday at noon, make it happen, And
it does cost money, obviously.
Yeah.
It's expensive to do the kind of stuff that we're doing. But something that is also significant with the type of support that we get from Mountain America is that all of our youth pricing, so ages 5 through 18, is half price. And a lot of places will offer youth pricing, maybe up to 12 or some student discount or whatever. And oftentimes they do that because they can't fill the place. And it's this way to try and entice other people to come in. But the theater is sold out.
Yeah.
Every seat is gone all the time. And so when we make those tickets available for half price, that is lost revenue from the theater from that perspective.
Right.
And when you have an organization like Mountain America, like the Millers, like Kim Gardner, like Bill Child, a lot of these leaders across the community, then they supplement that difference, which allows families to come. So even if it's a little more expensive for date night, which it's an investment.
Yeah.
It becomes very affordable when you start thinking about taking the whole family and the experience that you have and the conversations that you have on the way home. And when you talk about achieving your financial dreams, part of financial dreams is I bought a guitar this morning that I have been oodling over, and my wife has rolled her eyes over 1,000 times as I just keep looking at this and have this mental, a terrible conversation about a poor financial choice that I'm going to make in my head with getting another instrument. But when we do these things, like go to the theater, that's part of the game of achieving those financial dreams, I think.
It is, right? Because I think oftentimes we're like, oh, when I have the $1 million in savings, right, I've made it. But no, right? It's those memories along the way.
It's Scrooge's story.
Amen to that. Yep, exactly. But tell us more about this guitar.
I think the only person that's going to listen to this podcast is my wife. And so I'd like to thank her, first of all, for allowing me to do such a frivolous purchase. It's carbon fiber.
Okay.
And I'm a worrywart.
Do you race with it, like on a bike?
That's the thing. So the people that started this, it's a company out of Ireland. The people that started this guitar company, they're called Emerald Guitars. They came from a car racing carbon fiber background.
Okay.
And they started making guitars out of carbon fiber, which true purists out there are going to say you have just thrown your money at nothing, because the sonic quality of carbon is inert. And but the thinness of the wood of a beautiful guitar also is prone to cracking in the dry Utah climate.
Yes.
And so I'm tired of worrying about that, and I'm willing to take maybe a little bit less on the sound quality to have a guitar that I can feel good taking everywhere with me. If that makes this show, then we have done something special.
It'll make it.
Oh, it's painted.
Is it emerald green? Or Emerald is the brand?
It's just Emerald Guitars is the brand.
Okay.
They do have green guitars, but I'm not that ostentatious. I want to kind of disappear when I'm up performing with it, because I can hang and mostly I sing. But I have a real deep respect for true musicians, and I'd like to stay out of their way, even visually. But it is a very beautiful guitar.
Very, very cool. So when are we going to see this guitar? Is it going to make it on HCT's main stage?
If it does, I would recommend nobody paying for it. But there are some brilliant guitarists in this next show, like big touring people, which is also cool. So we talk about how you can get on the stage. We double cast our shows.
Okay.
So Kristalina could be in a show. She makes sure you go through all your training and you get comfortable and you make it into a show. The issue is that you have certain responsibilities with Mountain America. You have certain responsibilities at home, things that you cannot get away from. But because our runs are so long, we're almost always in a double cast scenario. And that allows you to not miss out on that, maybe those 2 weekends that you cannot miss, where your double can get in there and you have the best relationship with that person. And they do a phenomenal job. In my case, generally a better job than what I'm doing when I get out on the stage. And so that allows you to find more of that balance as you're trying to do something that you love.
I love that. Very, very cool. So one other question I have for you regarding School of Rock and the fact it's coming up and it's super techy and awesome and we all can't wait to go see it. There's a lot of kids in this show. What are your thoughts on why it's important to expose children to the theater at a young age?
It's really, I think that we're all becoming, now we're getting into the philosophy of Quinn.
Okay.
This is not Hale Centre Theatre. This is, I think that we're just becoming one giant programmed a beast. We all scroll from the same iPad. We all get the same information. We all think it's uniquely for us, and I feel like it's all the same. And so for youth, I think in particular, this is as per Quinn's musings, I feel like if kids have something that they can lean on, that they can become good at, that they can become known for, that they can then become an individual and not part of the machine. And I think so much of the machine, I'm not so concerned about all the seedy material and all the different things that you can get online, because that's going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
But to have an avenue where a bunch of youth can work on something that they can be proud of for years and years to come is rad. And so more broadly, as kids get involved in sports or arts or something that is away from that device, then they become truly individual instead of just another cog in the wheel that way.
I love that you say that. So I was at a conference recently, and of course, this conference is social media based, and we're talking about, the future and what that looks like, and Web 3.0 and virtual reality and all of these things. And
you just made me nervous when you talked about Web 3.0. I'm still at like 1.7.
Aren't we all? I think a lot of us are. But one of the things that one of the speakers talked about was how her son's, at 11 years old, his first conference was virtually. And he was able to attend it with his avatar. And as I was sitting there, I'm just like, no, that's not a concert. That's not live. You're not able, to your point, have the same heart rhythm as the person next to you, physically experiencing that.
Which there are actual studies on that, which is weird. That's not just some pretty metaphor. It actually happens when you sing in a choir with people. You experience these things. It's scientifically the group, their hearts actually start beating together.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's incredible. So I think it's really important that we don't get away from that, right? Not that there's not tons of opportunity in our virtual realities of the future, but something to be said for throwing those devices out the window and seeing things in person that are really real.
Yeah, and doing things in person. And so, yeah, it is fun to watch these kids. They smell terrible. And there's a little post-traumatic stress disorder, remembering junior high school and all of that associated with it. But they are having so much fun together, and they are crazy talented little beasts.
Yeah.
And they give the adults a serious run for their money. When you talk about when you want to go see theater at any level, no matter what the story is, it needs great. It has to be underpinned with the energy and the urgency for telling that story, and it is natural for kids. And it is lost on adults. And so they have a challenge when they have to get on the stage after those kids.
That's awesome. I love it. So Quinn, what are your thoughts to all of our audience members out there that maybe haven't been to Hale Centre Theatre in Sandy recently? What do you have to say to all of them?
It's a fun place. And if you have if you forgot to mow the lawn or take the trash out, it's also a place of healing, and entertainment. And I would just, for me, the biggest thing is I hope you'll come to the theater. I know you'll have a great experience when you do. But I really hope that you go pick up your old clarinet or your guitar, or do something super insane and get yourself in a private ballroom class with your sweetheart. But try and do those things, including going to the theater, that are a little risky, that are less comfortable than Netflixing, and that ultimately I think can make your life a little more memorable, so that when someone's telling your story and putting it on the stage, it's better and more fun. That's all I would say.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for really providing this avenue for all of us to connect in real life. And you guys are amazing storytellers, and that's really what we all want to hear, right? It's a good story.
Agreed.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for joining as well and watching our podcast with, of course, the legendary Quinn Dietlein. And we will see you all on the next episode of Guiding You Forward.